Later on today, you guys have got your weekly caucus meeting, and you're not the only voice in the Labor Party that's raising objections to what the government's doing here. So how do you think it'll play in caucus?
Well, it's not for me to comment on what's likely to happen at caucus. It's the caucus chairman who has the honour of making that observation.
And he's very obsessed with process, Kelvin, so you better not...
He is indeed, and I don't like to cross him, but there's no doubt that there is a lot of concern within the Labor movement about this issue. We've seen the Australian Workers Union and the CFMEU and the Australian Council of Trade Unions making very strong and clear statements.
They're hopping mad, aren't they?
They are making very strong and clear statements about this, because they are concerned about the way in which the temporary migrant worker programs are being used. They've identified abuses in the past. They've said to me that they know now that there are Chinese workers in the Pilbara who are being paid 50 to 60% of the wages being paid to Australian workers. They've sought redress for that. They've not been able to achieve redress for that. So they believe that these agreements represent a recipe for abuse and for poorer outcomes for Australian workers than the outcomes that they're entitled to.
So that Chris Bowen, he's in trouble, right?
Well, these matters are matters that we need to discuss, and I think we need to look again at the migrant worker programs, both the permanent one and the temporary one, and reduce them and target them better.
And so it's not going to go away. That's your bottom line.
No, it won't go away. I've been of the view for some years, Catherine, that both our permanent migrant worker program and our temporary migrant worker program are too high and should be cut back and better targeted. And I think that the enterprise migration agreements show that the permanent migrant worker program is essentially a failure. It's not delivering the outcome which it should do, which is to give us workers for the Pilbara and the like. Instead, we have over 50% of people who are coming here under the permanent migrant worker program ending up in Sydney or in Melbourne, where they are competing with other Australians who are presently out of work for jobs. So I think that the permanent migrant worker program should be targeted better and cut back. Secondly, I think that if we proceed down the road of enterprise migration agreements, we'll end up with a situation where we have foreign companies using foreign workforces to send Australian resources in foreign ships to foreign countries for the use and enjoyment of foreign consumers. Now, some people might think that that's how you spread the benefits of the mining boom. I don't. I do not.
Kelvin.
I do not believe that this is in the Australian national interest. And the third thing I think is that this comes very much at the expense of Indigenous workers. And it's worth contrasting, on the one hand, Andrew Forrest, who's saying he wants Indigenous workers for his projects, and Gina Rinehart, who is seeking to import foreign labour. I think that Andrew Forrest is right and Gina Rinehart is wrong.
Right.
But if we proceed down with these enterprise migration agreements, we will get the Gina Rinehart outcome. In the project which has just been approved, we're talking about 1,700 foreign workers and 100 Aboriginal workers. I believe it should be the other way around.
So the balance is all out of whack. But I mean, there would be people that would say, Kelvin, that this is a global economy. Skills should be free to be able to move across borders. So why are you banging on about foreign workers?
I believe it is not in Australia's national interest for us to have a situation where we are bringing in large numbers of permanent migrant workers and temporary migrant workers, and these numbers have ratcheted up dramatically over the course of the last decade, when we have many Australians who are out of work. We have 600,000 Australians who are out of work, and we have situations like Indigenous disadvantage, which we have a moral obligation to address. I think also that the skilled migration program has not been working. Surveys in my own city of Melbourne have shown that 4 out of 5 people who've come to Melbourne under skilled migration visas are either unemployed or underemployed, and you get examples like a young woman who's got engineering qualifications but who cannot get a job anywhere and is working as an office cleaner. So I believe that the program has been ratcheted up way too much and is poorly targeted.